Hi, my name is Franco and I'll be discussing how to properly install the Eurotalk Network Manager Netman onto your system so that it can run smoothly and without any issues. The installation of this software cannot be simpler, so let's get started. Firstly, above anything else, you must decide where would you like to install the language CD data. This initial copy of data, depending on the product, will be on average 500 megabits per product, and then an additional language for that product range will be a further 30 to 40 megabits each. So please choose a location that will contain sufficient space. Please note that if you have Talk More, Talk the Talk, Talk Business or Movie Talk, these will take a considerable amount more space as each language is video based. Now you have decided where would you like to install the software. Before we start the installation, I will explain what is actually going to be installed. There are two specific shares that you need to consider: student and teachers. These will be the main share points for both the students and the teacher applications. When you specify a student share, it will also create the Eurotalk data folder, but I will explain about this later during the presentation, so please ignore for now. Now, depending on how you set up your students and teachers share for other commercial products, for this demonstration I will contain both into one folder for simplicity. I will create a Eurotalk folder that will be read-write enabled, but for security purposes I'll be changing this to read-only after the installation is complete. RM3 users, please create your shared folder in the RM Shared Documents folder or the Public Share P drive. Now that we have created our shared directory, it's time to install Netman. We must make a little checklist of what you should have during this installation. Firstly, the Netman disk. If you have not received our Netman disk, please contact Eurotalk or obtain it from your distributor. Number 2, the languages CDs you wish to install onto your server. Number 3, the unlock code that Eurotalk or your distributor will have sent either to you or to the person that made the purchase. Please liaise with whoever made the purchase so that you have an unlock code on your computer ready to copy and paste when requested. Now that we have signed off our checklist, we can finally begin. Insert the Netman CD. Once you have inserted, double click on it and open. Double click on the Install MSI. You will now be shown the Welcome to Eurotalk Network Manager Setup wizard. Let's click on the Next button. The next screen is where you wish to install NetManager program. The default location is C Program Files, Eurotalk NetManager. You can change this by selecting the Browse button and then specifying where you would like to install it. For us, I will be leaving the default. Let's click on the Next button. Now we're ready to start doing the installation. Click on the Install. Please wait for this, as it takes several minutes to try and install the initial files. Right, the initial files have been installed. Let's go through the installation wizard. The very first screen will tell you about the TCP IP port and timeout values for net access. I would highly recommend that you leave these by default, but you can modify them if you wish. Let's go on to the next screen. Next, you'll be presented with hostname or IP of the server. I would recommend using the IP address of the server if you have a set static IP address. Let's click Next. Okay, this is our student share. The top box is for the UNC network path for the shared directory you created on the server. I will browse to this folder by selecting the Browse button. Once you have selected the folder and press OK, the path will automatically be displayed in this window. Now we will specify the local path. The local path is used up as a backup if the server is unable to find the UNC path to the student shared directory. I must now point out the special RM3 button. This has been designed specifically for RM3 users to point to your designated public shared drive, P, or your RM shared documents, as stated in the README document for Netman, so please specify the created Eurotalk folder you have made. Okay, now let's click on the next button. Like we have mentioned for the student share, you must do the same process of pointing to the teacher's shared directory as well. Click the Browse button and browse to where you created the shared directory. As I have mentioned before, I will install both shares in the same Eurotalk shared folder, which I created at the start of the demonstration. I would also like to highlight the RM3 button for the teacher share as well. Below is the password used for teachers for read and write access. This is added security in case you decide to place the teacher's directory in the same directory as the student directory, with the teachers having a read or read-write password access if an able student is allowed to read the shared Eurotalk folder. For this demonstration, I will be using Eurotalk as passwords, but this is not advisable for the real-world production. And click on Next. Now that we have created the shares, we will go to this screen. As explained on this window, it is designed to control how students can join classes. By default, you have students can join class without passwords. If you untick the students can join class, it will mean that no students apart from those created by the teacher can join that class. If ticked, then they're allowed to join. Student passwords is an option in case you wish the students to generate their own passwords. I will sometimes go against this as they tend to make rude or ridiculous ones that they can't remember, and the teacher has to generate or tell what password they have used. The beauty of the teacher program is that they can set passwords for each student if they wish. I'll explain the features for the teachers program on a different how-to. For our demonstration, I will leave these settings to their default, allowing students to join class without requiring passwords. The other option is now Show Scores in Tree. This little feature will allow students to visually see their classmates and how well they have done that for that specific language. By default it is ticked, so let's go on the next screen. Now we are asked if we wish to keep complete student histories. This is a great little feature which will give the teachers access to reports on how the student is doing during the time that he/she has been using the desk. Features include how long he or she has spent on each of the games and what scores they have achieved. If you untick this, as mentioned on the screen, it will still allow you to print and show reports on the current session that they have logged into. I'll explain the beauty of this in the teachers program how-to. By default, I will leave this ticked. The next screen displays the inactivity timer. As you are aware, students will leave their computers on and forget to log out, so I've designed it so that the program logs off after a certain amount of time, by default 10 minutes. This will ensure that the number of licenses will not be overloaded, as this will prevent other students from logging in. The full screen option is used if you have client machines that are set to 800 by 600 but are able to do 1024 by 768 or higher. Some of our software only works on a resolution of 1024 by 768, i.e. Talk Now, Talk More, Talk the Talk, Talk Business. So it will force the screen to go to 1024 by 768 to run, and when the user logs off, it will then go back to 800 by 600. By default, I will have this ticked. Let's click on the next screen. Right, this is now for backups of the database. I highly recommend that you set this up so that backups are made of the student database. By default, the backups are stored in the NetManager directory which you have created, as shown here. It states what time the backups are going to take effect and how many backups are going to be stored before they're deleted. These are relatively small as they are just Excel worksheets. I would say it's advisable to keep them indefinitely, so I should put 0. That's it. That should be everything set up for NetManager. Click Next for those settings to take effect. Now that NetManager has been installed, you will be presented with the following screen saying Service installed. Now the beauty of NetManager is that you have this running as a service as well, so that you can log out from the server account and it still be running in the background. So let's just click OK. Now this is where we require the unlock code. You should have your unlock code available so that you can copy and paste. As you can see, there is no copy or paste buttons, but you only require the shortcuts to copy and paste, which is Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V. For this presentation I'll be just installing one product, Talk Now, but this unlock code has many of our products. I will show you how to select the process of installing one product or as many products or all products from the unlock code. Installing one product will just reduce the time for this demonstration, but it's the same process for all products. So as you can see from this example unlock code, we have the French product ranges from Eurotalk. The part that we are interested in is the begin and end, so I shall copy and paste into the Eurotalk NetManager program. Please note about the spacing of the unlock codes. This is very important, otherwise the unlock code will not work. Sometimes we have had instances where there have been spaces in between each of the lines. This is incorrect. It will not work like this. So please take notes regarding spacing. Let's click Next. What you should have now is that your site name and address will now appear. Please note that this is extremely important for future unlock codes that you might wish to purchase from Eurotalk. The site details are the key components to the unlock code mechanism, so once it has been entered, the details have to be the same for future sales. Once you're happy, click on Next. Now I will be explaining how to install or remove products from the unlock code, and if you wish to only install a specific product instead of all of them. You can simply deselect which product you do not wish to install. It will then ask you which drive you wish to read the Talk Now disk from. I would recommend that you have the Talk Now disk inserted before you click on the Next button. Once the disk has been inserted and you are happy with the CD drive letter being given, click Next. You will now be asked where would you like to install the contents of the language CD. I will explain the options here. Number 1. Copy all files from CD to shared directory, recommended. This option copies the contents of the CD in the shared directory that you have specified during the Netman installation. Now it states recommended as you will have the file stored centrally on the server and the clients can easily have access to those files. Option 2. Use files already in the shared directory. This could be a little dangerous as you could have old files in your system, and the beauty of our software is that it checks to see if you have the latest files which will fix old issues, or if there were any errors on the language CD before which have now been corrected. Only select this if you are perfectly happy with the files in your shared directory, are the latest and that no issues have been found from the past installation. Number 3. Run from shared CD. There have been instances in schools where they have the disks from a shared CD drive. I would not recommend this, but if this is a process that you use and are comfortable with, then please select. And lastly, run from multiple CDs on student machines. This option allows the disk to be inserted on the client machines or the contents of the CD to be copied onto the machine with only the score data being sent to the server. This reduces the network traffic from client to server. I would only recommend this if your network infrastructure is extremely slow. I will select default and recommend option 1 and click on next. The next screen displays the path that you have created during the Netman installation. This should be the UNC path as created before, with the added path to where the CD contents will be kept. As mentioned before, Netman created 2 shares, but also created the Eurotalk data folder. This folder is where the contents of the CD is to be installed. Please make sure that this is not changed. Let's click on the next. Now we are ready to copy the files and or update the database. Let's click on the next. Now this will take some time, so I'm going to pause the video. Right, now the files have been copied, you should have a flurry of windows being opened when you click on finish. The initial window is the Netman Help manual. These are the same instructions that I have mentioned during this video, but if you wish to have more detailed explanation, by all means go through this. Now let me go through the NetManager window interface. You'll see that Talk Now French has just been installed. The large icons on the top of the window are those mostly used for Netman. The first icon is used to install additional software. The second icon is used to repeat registration of previous unlock codes you have used. This could be handy to update software on your system if you have found any issues with the disk and received a replacement from Eurotalk or your distributor. The third icon is to remove products that you have installed. I'll explain this later on. The fourth icon is used to view the network options and general information regarding the software installation made during the initial install. The fifth is to create a manual backup or restore from a backup if you have found a corruption in the database. The sixth is for the NetManager Help Manual. This will give you more detailed instructions for the options I've explained during this video tutorial. The seventh icon is in case you wish to exit out NetManager itself. This will not stop the service, so it will be still running in the background. Okay, let's go through each option. These options are also available when you select Project on the top left hand corner. Now for the detailed explanation. Number 1. Product registration. If you select this, you will see displayed the option to paste in your unlock code. As we have already done this before, I will not need to explain anything further. Number 2. Repeat registration. This is used if you wish to reinstall any of our products again. When you select any of the dates displayed, it will show the previous unlock codes that you have entered. With this, you can select to reinstall any product from this list. Then, like before, select the CD drive and then insert the CD. I will not proceed any further regarding this. Number 3. Removal of products. Now, as you can see from the window, products are in italics and, as stated, you will not be able to remove the products. Now, how is this going to be done? Well, what we need to do is run the teachers program and remove the classes from the hierarchy. I will show you how this is done. We will now go to the shared directory for the teachers program. As you can see, we have the teachers.exe file. Double click on this Remember, enter your password. For us it was Eurotalk. As you can see, we have Talk Now French V2 and Talk Now French V2 quiz. Below are site details. Select those two products holding down the Shift key and select the third icon from the top left. You will now see that the products are gone. Close the program. Go back to Net Manager, cancel this, and we go back to deleting products, and you will see that now these are not in italic. You can then select any of these products, select next, and it will remove those products for you. For this demonstration I will not do so. Now the fourth icon, the network and general settings. These are settings which you originally made during the initial install of Netman. We can change these settings when you have selected this button. I hope they are all self-explanatory, but let's go for a quick overview. Site details of the customer. Settings, host IP address and TCP IP and timeout being used. Directories, where the shared directories for both student and teachers and the teacher password are kept. Defaults. This is the option where you can deselect student passwords, student history, full screen resolution and timeout for inactivity. Auto backup settings for the student database and where you store those if you wish to do a restore from a backup. Database. These are the options with regards to database management and how to write to disk occurs. Monitor. This is for monitoring students using the Student Monitor option in the Teachers program. Please leave these to the default. Okay, now the fifth icon. This is the backup and restore. As you can see, this will allow you to back up your database or restore from your database. Let's do a backup for now. If you select next, select the browse button. As we can see, we already have backups already made, but you can specify the name of the file. Click on save, click on next, next, and there you have it, completely finished. We'll do this again, but we'll do the restore option. Specify the restore, click on browse, specify the browse button, specify the file that you wish to restore. Click open, click next, and as it mentioned, it will overwrite the existing database. Click on next, and there you have it. Simple as that. Okay, now that we have installed NetManager software on our server, the next thing we need to do is basically do a group policy update on your client machines. Now many schools have different methods of deploying MSI to client machines, but I will be using default Microsoft methods of using group policies. I have already set up Active Directory on this server. Okay, now that we have this up, what you need to do on the tree view here on your left, right click your domain name and select properties. Now we select the group policy tab. Now they probably have a lot of group policies set up, but I will just click on my default domain policy, click on edit. Okay. Now under software settings for user configuration, software installation, right click, say new, package. Now basically I've already set it's gone to default to where I need to go, but by default what will happen, you need to browse to that location. So you just go to My Network Places, Entire Network, Microsoft Windows Network, My Domain, the server, go to your Eurotalk Share. go to Eurotalk Students, and then basically what you need to deploy is these two. I will select this one first, click on Advanced, click OK. Okay, then go to Deployments, then select Assigned, and tick Install this application at login, and click OK. Okay, that's one of them done. Do the same process for the other one. Register NetLang, click OK. Advanced, OK. Okay, Deployments, Assigned, install this application at login. Okay, and that's it. If you want the installation to take place immediately, then go to the command line of the server, and enter gp update /force. This should cause the appropriate installer to run the next time anyone logs onto a workstation. If you have used the gp update force on the command line, then a program may not be installed until the second time someone logs on. So if nothing happens the first time, just try again. If you prefer not to have the software installed until the next time the workstations are booted, then modify the above. We'll delete these software deployments, remove, okay, then we're going to, under software settings, under computer configuration, do the same and keep it to assigned. This should cause the programs to be installed or registered on all workstations the next time they are booted. Again, though, the program may not be installed until the second time the workstations are booted. So if nothing happens the first time, just try again. You should now be ready for running the student and teacher programs. I'll explain the shortcuts that need to be displayed on the client machines. Okay, so let's close this. Let's cancel this. Let's close this. Okay, if we go to our shared directory, let's see, Eurotalk share. Then we go into Eurotalk Students. Okay, basically what needs to get deployed onto the client machines is this, netlang.exe. The teachers, go back, go into the teachers share, will be the teachers.exe. I just want to point out this teachers.chm file. This basically gives the teachers an instruction manual of what other features within the teachers program. But I will be explaining all of these in another how-to. Let's close this. Let's go back. Let's go and see if the student program works on the server. What you'll get displayed on the client machines is the products that you've just installed. I've just created a few tests. Let's click on Start. Okay, brilliant. That seems to all be working. Okay, let's close this. Okay, that seems to be working on the server, so all you need to do is now deploy this onto the client machines so they can run the exe. Next point, important note, is when we run Network Manager, please take note of this help languages. This is specifically important for those that have Talk More, Talk the Talk and Talk Business. What this button is designed to do is to download available help languages from our website for those products.